Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. I'm Mike Calabrese. We're diving into the women's Final Four down in Tampa, Florida, and I am joined by a luminary of the women's game, Dano Mataya from herhoopstats.com to break it all down. Dano, much like the men's Final Four, the cream has risen to the top here. Three of the four teams that have made it to the national semifinal spent time during the season as the number one ranked team in the AP poll. The only exception, of course, is UConn, and they've only lost once since the calendar turned to 2025. We have absolute heavyweight legends on the sideline: Gino Auriemma, Dawn Staley. They've combined for 14 national championships. Texas's Vic Schaefer, who led Mississippi State to back-to-back national title games, has elevated this Texas program, bringing the Longhorns back to the Final Four for the first time in 22 years. And then, of course, there's Corey Close and UCLA attending their very first Final Four. She just took home National Player or Coach of the Year honors, I should say, multiple of them to boot. So the coaching is absolutely loaded here in the Final Four. But let's go onto the court. We got star power as well. You got UConn's Paige Bueckers. You got UCLA's Lauren Betts. They were both Naismith finalists this season. But as we know, basketball is a team sport. Texas has suffocated teams on the defensive end en route to the Final Four. And then South Carolina has shown its depth. They've had four separate leading scorers in their four wins leading up to the Final Four. So let's start there in terms of your handicap. Do you look at the coaching? Do you look at the star power? Or do you look at a team's overall statistical resume when you break down some of these handicaps?
I think it's definitely multiple factors. I think experience is a huge thing. So we know that the Gamecocks have three players that have been to four Final Fours now, which is incredible. Highly respect that, but they do rely on some incredibly young talent in Malaysia Fulwiley and Joyce Edwards. Don Staley, incredible coach. Can't say anything about that. Gino, you know what you're going to get. Corey Close has not been able to, get over that hump. I mean, she just got to her first Final Four. She's been probably criticized the most out of these four coaches. And then Vic Schaefer's been definitely criticized for not winning the big one. He's won it as an assistant, but come close, been to a couple national championships. And we know that Texas's offense is a rough watch, but you alluded to it earlier. The defense is something special. So I'm glad we get the best four teams. I mean, the best team in the field left is a 2 seed by far. The books know it. Everybody knows it. Paige Bueckers is special. I don't think we've seen a run in March like this from a women's player. Really, I mean, we had Caitlin Clark, but besides her in the last few years, there's nothing close to what Paige is doing right now. And with the parity that's in women's college basketball now, it's almost just as special as what Caitlin did. So excited to see.
Let's start chronologically. First matchup up is South Carolina against Texas, an SEC matchup. The Gamecocks are a 4.5 point favorite. The total set at 124.5. Do you think this is going to be an under better's paradise, a true rock fight between the Gamecocks and the Longhorns?
Absolutely. I mean, this game opened at 125.5. It's down to 124.5, which I still like. I think these two teams are two of the best three defensive teams in the country outside of UConn. They're both physical. They don't shoot many threes. Texas took three 3-point attempts against TCU, but held them to 48 points. I mean, they have motivation, like both to lock up. They both talk about, oh, I can't, she can't guard me. Madison Booker famously said that against Bree Hall, and then she went out and scored less than 10 points in the SEC championship game. One of these games, one of their three matchups did go over, went to 128. So there's always a chance at the end of these tournament games that you're going to see a ton of free throws. So that is a cause for concern. If this did, live drop below 115.5, I'd probably take a half unit on the over to at least get myself some coverage there. But I think it's going to be a disgusting game that leads us into probably the game of the tournament between UCLA and UConn.
Is there any additional player props that you're interested in that one?
Yeah, definitely. So I spoke earlier about experience, and one player they have relied on this season is All-American Joyce Edwards, or high school All-American Joyce Edwards. Freshman, big, plays the four for South Carolina, but her production is significantly down in the tournament, not including their blowout win by 70 against Tennessee Tech. In the next three games leading up to the Final Four, she's averaging just 5 points a game and averaging 2 less minutes than the regular season. And now she's going to be on a bigger stage than ever before with tons of pressure because everybody expects the Gamecocks to always, make it to the national championship now. So I think that Texas has the bigs and the defense to stifle her. She's went over this number once against Texas. And as I said before, she's not really giving you the same type of production in the tournament. And I don't see her stepping up. So
Before we get into futures that you can still place, teams to win the national championship, players to be named most outstanding player of the Final Four, let's look at UConn versus UCLA. The Huskies are 7.5 point favorite here. The total sitting at 135.5. Is this just a runaway train that the Huskies are just too tough at this point? And if so, is there different ways to play them at a better number, whether you're taking them at a live number, a first half, first quarter?
yeah, I think this opened at 8.5, and I probably liked UCLA at that number. It gives you, basically or almost three possessions. It is so hard to even think about betting against UConn right now, not just in the tournament, but in the month of March. They're 8-0 against the spread, and doing it in multiple ways, just blowing out teams, letting teams come back in and then blowing them out in the fourth quarter like they did against USC. Paige Bueckers, like we said before, playing at an unbelievable level. Three straight games of 30 points in this tournament, which has not been done ever. Caitlin Clark dropped multiple 40-point games, but then ended with 29. So it's tough to bet against them, but also I can see UConn letting up a bit. And, there's a right to be, or you're rightful to be fearful of foreign bets. She's 6'7". She's basically a cheat code. And UConn has not played anybody like her this year. And the closest comp is probably Rhea Marshall from USC, who just had 23 and 14 against UConn. So I do think they hang. If you were to tell me to bet this game, I would take the points with UCLA, but I love the first quarter spread for UConn. -2.5. They've covered the first quarter in every game this month of March, with the exception of a tournament game against Villanova in the Big East. But I think the last 5 games, 34-5, holding every team under 14 points. I think teams are averaging 10 points a game in first quarters against UConn. So I love the first quarter edge there. Paige has been on this stage before. Nobody else from UCLA has come near the Final Four. I think they lost in the Sweet 16 last year against LSU. So it's to me a smash spot for UConn to come out and shock the Bruins right away.
With this national semifinal, it's an opportunity for sportsbooks to also put out player props across the board. And what I found interesting, we've talked so much, given the flowers to Paige Bueckers, and she deserves it. The fact that her points, rebounds, and assists are in the mid 30s. I just heard you go through her scoring
Yeah.
streak. To be able to tack on rebounds and assists, this feels like maybe this is a too much of a public play. Am I a sucker to just go over on this at 35.5?
No, you're not a sucker. One, it is extremely fun to bet on star players, especially in the women's game. I think last year at the Final Four, I gave out a Caitlin Clark assist under, or 2 years ago. And she had 9 going into the fourth quarter and ended with 9 when she went into her Caitlin Clark mode. With Paige, you got 2 things going for you. Gino is going to play her the entire game unless she really does bad. And I don't see her not being focused at all. She's going to come in locked in. Last year in the tournament, she played 40 straight minutes up until the Final Four when they got knocked out against Iowa. She's playing over 38 minutes with the exception of the 70-point win against Arkansas State. So I feel very comfortable here. She's looking for her shot. She's being aggressive. She's scoring at all 3 levels, getting to the line. And then, give me some rebounds and assists. Absolutely. So I think, to me, I think I'm taking this up to 40. I don't know how much, sports books will let you get down on this type of prop specifically, but I do love it.
Now, looking at the Final Four teams here, are there any different angles in terms of playing a national championship future right at this moment? A most outstanding player in the Final Four, trying to get the national title game exacta. Is anything on your radar as a different way to play the Final Four in action on Saturday? Excuse me, on Sunday.
Yeah, as a Texas fan, I am very hopeful that Texas can pull off an upset win as underdogs against South Carolina. But I do think we are going to get UConn, South Carolina. I wouldn't mind doing a money line parlay or an exacta there. To me, I don't see anybody beating UConn. They just look so dominant. Everybody's locked in. They're getting contributions from everybody. And I think they're now down to minus 150 everywhere or minus 160. And to me, if you can get Paige Bueckers at most outstanding player, that's probably the angle to go. You're going to get slightly better odds there.
That'll do it for us. If you like what you heard from Dano, you can find his Final Four picks and WNBA picks all season long at Spread the Floor, available at herhoopstats.com. There's also full coverage for the men's Final Four from the three-man weave, as well as my preview with Stuckey, Greg Waddell, now both available on podcast and our BBOC YouTube channel. So be sure to check those out and leave us a 5-star review. For Dano Mataya, I'm Mike Calabrese. Enjoy the games and best of luck with your bets.